You want to know something funny? I've been rich twice and poor 3 times in my life, and I can tell you exactly why each one happened. It had nothing to do with luck, nothing to do with the economy, nothing to do with who I knew or what opportunities fell into my lap. It had everything to do with who I was becoming. My name is Salvatore Benedetto. I'm 106 years old. I came to this country in 1928 with my father and sister. $40, no English, a satchel of cobbler's tools. We lived in a 2-room apartment in Brooklyn with 15 people in one bathroom. I've made shoes with these hands for over 90 years. I've buried 2 wives. I've watched my shop burn to the ground and rebuilt it from ashes. I've been so broke I ate bread and water for a week. And I've been comfortable enough to take my wife to see the Grand Canyon. And here's what I know for certain. If you want to be wealthy and happy, stop chasing wealth and happiness. Start building yourself into the kind of person wealth and happiness want to follow home. That's the secret. That's the whole thing. Everything else is details. But let me give you the details anyway because I've got time and you need to hear this. My father, Enzo Benedetto, taught me to make shoes starting when I was 10 years old. I'd sit on an orange crate next to his workbench after school, watching his hands move, cutting leather, stitching soles, shaping heels. He never explained much. He just did it, and I watched, and eventually I tried, and he'd grunt when I got it wrong and nod when I got it right. By 15, I could make a pair of shoes from nothing, raw leather to finished product. But here's what my father taught me that had nothing to do with shoes. He said, and this was in Italian, I'm translating. He said, Sal, a man who only learns his job will only ever have his job. A man who learns himself can have anything. I didn't understand that when I was 15. I thought he was just being philosophical, the way old Italian men get after too much wine. But he was telling me the most important thing anyone ever told me. Work harder on yourself than you work on your job. See, my father worked 16-hour days in a factory. Then he came home and fixed shoes at night. He was the hardest working man I ever knew. But he died at 61 with nothing in the bank and hands so worn out he could barely hold a cup of coffee. He worked hard, but he only worked hard on the job. He never worked on himself. He never learned to read English, even though he lived here for 24 years. He never asked questions about how money worked. He never tried to understand why some cobblers stayed poor and others opened their own shops. He just put his head down and worked, and I loved him. I honor him. But I decided I wasn't going to make the same mistake. So here's what I want you to understand. Write this down if you have to. Your income, and I don't just mean money, I mean the richness of your whole life. Your income will never far exceed your personal development. Sometimes you get lucky. You get a raise, an inheritance, a windfall. But if you haven't grown into the person who can handle that level of success, it disappears. Every time. I've seen it 100 times. Guy wins money, loses it in 2 years. Woman gets a promotion, burns out in 6 months. Someone falls into a good relationship, destroys it because they haven't done the work on themselves. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. So stop running around trying to grab it. Sit down, work on yourself, and watch what happens. Now let me tell you how this played out in my own life, because theory is useless without proof. I opened Benedetto's Fine Shoes in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. I was 32 years old, a widower with 2 small children, and I had no business opening a business. No money saved, no business training, just a set of skills and a desperate need to build something that was mine. The first 2 years, I almost went under, twice. I didn't know how to keep books. I didn't know how to price things. I didn't know how to handle customers who wanted to haggle or suppliers who wanted to cheat me. I just knew how to make shoes. And one night, I remember this, it was a Thursday in February 1954, bitter cold, snow piled up outside. I was sitting in that shop after closing, looking at a stack of bills I couldn't pay, and I thought, I'm going to lose everything because I don't know enough, not because I wasn't working hard. I was working 70 hours a week, but I was working hard on the job, making shoes, fixing heels, talking to customers. I wasn't working on myself, learning how to run a business, how to manage money, how to think like someone who succeeds instead of someone who just survives. So I made a decision that night. Every single day, I was going to learn something new. Not about shoes, about life, about business, about people, about myself. And here's what I did. You can do this too, starting tomorrow. First thing, I started reading. Now, I didn't have much education. 8th grade, that's it. My English wasn't great. I still had an accent thick enough to cut with a knife, but I started reading anyway. I read the newspaper every day, not just the stories, but the business section. I didn't understand half of it at first, but I kept reading. I found books about business, how to keep accounts, how to talk to customers, how to price your work. I read them slow, with a dictionary next to me. Took me a month to finish one book. Didn't matter. I finished it. 30 minutes a day, that's all it takes. 30 minutes of reading something that makes you better. Not the news that makes you angry, not the gossip that wastes your time. Something that teaches you, something that challenges you, something that makes you think. My friend, a man I met at the church, name was Harold, black man, ran a barber shop 3 blocks over. He said to me once, Sal, one good book can save you 5 years of mistakes. He was right. You know how many books are out there written by people who already figured out what you're trying to figure out? Hundreds, thousands. They wrote down how they did it, and people don't read them. How do you explain that? Read every day. Doesn't matter if it's 30 minutes or an hour. Just read. Second thing, I started listening. There was an old man in my neighborhood, Mr. Abramowitz, ran a tailor shop on the corner for 40 years. Successful, respected, owned his building. I asked him to have coffee with me one Sunday. He said yes. Now listen to this, because this is important. I paid for his coffee. You hear me? I didn't wait for him to offer. I didn't assume the successful guy should pay. I paid because I was asking for his time, and his time was valuable. And you don't take without giving something back. We sat for 2 hours. I asked him questions. How do you price your work? How do you handle customers who don't pay? How do you know when to expand and when to stay small? He talked. I listened. I wrote things down in a little notebook I carried everywhere. And here's what he told me that changed everything. Sal, you're charging too little. You think charging less will bring more customers, but it just brings customers who don't value what you do. Charge what you're worth. The right people will pay. I raised my prices the next week. Lost a few customers. The ones who stayed, they stayed for 30 years. They sent their children, their grandchildren. One conversation, one cup of coffee changed the whole direction of my business. So here's what I want you to do. Find someone who's doing what you want to do. Take them to lunch. Pay for it. Ask questions. Shut up and listen. Most people never do this. They think, oh, that person is busy. They won't want to talk to me. Wrong. Successful people love to talk about how they did it. They're flattered you asked. They want to help. But you have to ask. You have to show up. You have to be humble enough to say, I don't know how to do this. Will you teach me? Poor people don't take successful people out to dinner. They say, he's rich, let him buy his own meal. And they stay poor. Don't be like that. Third thing, I started watching. Success leaves clues. You just have to pay attention. There was a shoe shop in Manhattan, Moretti's, on the Upper East Side. Beautiful work, high prices, always busy. I took the train there one Saturday just to watch. I watched how the owner greeted customers by name with a handshake, like they were friends, not transactions. I watched how he displayed his work, not crowded on shelves, but spaced out, like each pair was a piece of art. I watched how he moved, unhurried, confident, like he had all the time in the world, even when the shop was full. And I thought, that's the difference. It wasn't just his skills, it was his presence, the way he made people feel important. I started doing the same thing. Learned my customers' names, asked about their families, slowed down even when I was busy, made them feel like they were the only person in the room. Business doubled in a year. Pay attention. Watch what successful people do. Success leaves clues. Now here's the part people don't want to hear. You can read all you want, listen all you want, watch all you want. But if you don't do something with what you learn, you're just collecting information. And information without action is useless. Knowledge isn't power, action is power. The guy who reads 10 books about business but never opens a business, he's not educated, he's entertained. The woman who takes 100 courses but never applies what she learns, she's not investing in herself, she's hiding from the risk of actually trying. I've met people like this. Smart people, people who know everything but do nothing. They can tell you all the reasons something won't work, but they've never built anything themselves. Don't be that person. Learn something, then do something with it. Tomorrow, not next week, tomorrow. What are you going to do tomorrow that's different from what you did today? If the answer is nothing, then guess what? Your life in 5 years is going to look exactly like your life right now. That's not a threat, that's math. Let me tell you about the fire. November 14th, 1978. My shop burned down. Electrical fire, middle of the night. I was 58 years old. Everything I'd built for 26 years, gone. Ash and smoke and the smell of burning leather. I stood there in my pajamas, watching firemen spray water on what used to be my life's work. And I thought, it's over. But here's what happened next. The neighborhood showed up. Mrs. Chen brought food. Mr. O'Malley rebuilt my shelves. Customers sent money, sent letters, sent their sons to help with the cleanup. And I realized something I'd been doing right all those years without knowing it. I hadn't just been building a business, I'd been building myself into the kind of person people wanted to help. All those years of learning their names, listening to their problems, fixing their kids' shoes for free, showing up at funerals and weddings and christenings. That wasn't wasted time. That was investment. Not in the business, in me, in who I was becoming. When the fire came, the business burned. But what I had become, a person people trusted, respected, wanted to support, that didn't burn. That was fireproof. And that's what let me rebuild. So here's the thing I need you to understand. You're not building a career. You're not building a bank account. You're not building a business. You're building yourself. And whatever you build yourself into, that's what will attract the life you live. If you build yourself into someone who cuts corners, you'll attract a life full of shortcuts that lead nowhere. If you build yourself into someone who blames others, you'll attract a life full of excuses and resentment. If you build yourself into someone who learns, who grows, who shows up, who does the hard thing even when no one's watching, you'll attract a life worth living. Success is attracted, not pursued. Stop chasing. Start becoming. I'm 106 years old. I've outlived everyone I started with. My mother, my father, my sister, 2 wives, most of my friends. But I'm still here, still making my espresso in the morning, still learning things. My granddaughter taught me how to use a computer last year. Still working on myself, because that's the only work that ever really mattered. And I'll tell you this, I'm happy. Not because my life was easy, it wasn't. I lost my mother at 5, lost my first wife at 31, watched everything I built burn down, had my own son refuse to speak to me for years. I'm happy because I decided to be, because I built myself into the kind of person who chooses joy over bitterness, curiosity over comfort, growth over stagnation. Happiness isn't contained in what you get. It's contained in what you become. So stop waiting for life to hand you happiness. Stop waiting for the right job, the right relationship, the right amount of money. Start working on yourself. Today, right now. Read something that makes you better. Find someone who knows more than you and buy them lunch. Watch how successful people move through the world, and then do something with what you learn. Your life in 5 years will be determined by the books you read, the people you spend time with, and the actions you take. Choose wisely. And if you don't know where to start, start with the small things, the little disciplines. Make your bed. Show up on time. Keep your word. Do what you said you'd do. Those small things build the muscle for the big things. My father used to say, and I'll leave you with this, Sal, a shoe is just leather and thread until you put your soul into it. Your life is the same way. It's just days and hours and minutes until you put your soul into it. So put your soul into it. Work on yourself, harder than you work on anything else, and watch what happens. Arrivederci.